after I be a millionaire. So.
Yeah, well, I started on an old Farmall H, and then a Super M, and I go as far back as I can remember with a cotton sack picking cotton on my family's farm, and I'm back on my family's farm after being gone for a long time. And
you were saying you're in South Texas, right?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Whereabouts? I just went to San Antonio this summer.
Port Lavaca, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the family farm. It's been in the family for 100 years, and so I wound up with it, and got cows and chickens, and I swore I'd never.
I saw that comment. I was like, man, he's got him a farm there. I didn't know you did have a farm. I just thought,
yeah, it's
animals there. I'm like,
I swore I would never come back to it. I got out away from here for 20 years and had over 100 employees, and God drugged me back here kicking and screaming in 2020. So anyway, it's been quite the testimony. Derek, you and I talked a little bit about, my Messianic friend he is so, and as far as what I came out of, it's like it's a tough line to walk, because it's not like I just want to throw off everything I was doing, as far as keeping the feasts and everything, and but we talked about that Galatians. You don't want to be you can't bring your own righteousness at all. You can't lean on a baptism. But we should get baptized, and that's that whole dichotomy and all of that. Over this last year, God, Yahweh, should just tore down all my walls, and then my good friend of man. Woo, boy, you'd think I was a heretic now. So.
Well, I know what you're saying, because like I said, I've got a very similar background. I've got a lot of experience in the Messianic, fellowships and stuff, and there's a lot of garbage in there, but there's also, you can't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Absolutely, yes.
I always tell people, like, this was always my justification, like we just read earlier about Paul saying to the Jew, I became as a Jew. You need to know a little something about the Jewish culture if you're going to evangelize the Jews to start with.
Right.
But the other thing I always used to say to people is, from my own personal perspective, I look at it as a bridegroom type thing, and I know I'm a male, so I would normally be the groom, but Jesus is the bride, or Jesus is the groom rather. We're the bride. So I look at it from a perspective of just in the natural. Like if I were a woman and say I married a man who was Italian, right?
Right.
Wouldn't you want to learn how to cook Italian? Wouldn't you want to learn a little bit about the Italian culture and just kind of
yes.
Like, hey, my husband's Italian. Same thing if you married a Mexican man or a Chinese man or whatever, you would want to learn a little bit about their culture and kind of, because that's your husband. So it's the same with Jesus. I look at it that way. He was and is Jewish. He chose to come live as a Jew.
Yes.
So, we obviously don't keep the law for salvation. That's a given. We all know that. But that's no reason just to toss it away and be like, I don't need that. Well,
I know. I agree.
It's like you can do that and be saved, but my feeling has always been to try to press in and get to know him a little bit better. That's why I got interested in all that.
That's why I did, because I love history. Yeah.
But it's I think you're on the right track, as am I. You just have to have it in the right perspective. You've got to keep it where it belongs, and that is, as long as it's not for salvation, as long as we recognize there's nothing we could do. Like, who was it you, Gary, that was earlier saying about, is God crazy, right? It's like, that's the only thing, like, when you ask that question, is God crazy? That's the thing I think of, is God crazy? Why would he save me? There's nothing about me that's worth saving. I wouldn't save me,
I know.
As long as we keep it in that perspective where we know, it's all the glory belongs to him. None of it goes to us.
Because the closer we're getting to this right now, the more I realize there is nothing good in me. There's not one thing. I couldn't be trusted to go get baptized.
That's right.
And that's. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and so I'm kind of, because my wife was like, okay, so we're going, and I said, no, we're going further. You know what I'm saying? We're going further. We're going to continue and everything. But it's going to be more of a heart change than anything,
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you got a chance to join with us this week. And I don't know if you heard, if you caught at the end of that, but I think next week I might try doing a little something different, because juggling, this is the third week I've tried doing that, where I've juggled Zoom and juggled YouTube, and it is just like, when it works, it kind of works, but it doesn't ever work the greatest. So I think next week what I may do is I'm going to do my regular 6 p.m. time slot on Zoom, which I've been doing for the past 4 years now, and then I think I'm going to set this thing up for 7:30 over here on YouTube, which will give me a little bit of time, to end that on Zoom, and then just start it over here. And actually, what I'm hoping is I could just download the video and play the video up front, so that I don't have to speak it out the whole second time, because I'll lose my voice by then. I think I could do that, so I'm going to see if we can do that this week. But,
if we're still here.
Exactly, if we're still here. Exactly.
My wife and I say that all the time. We make plans like, well, we'll go see Derek next week. Well, if we're still here.
If we're still here, yeah. I do the same thing, because you don't know. One of these days, and my wife, she honestly, you can't judge my wife, okay? Because my wife is not nearly as excited about the rapture as I am. But that's because she's been hearing it from me for 30 years.
My wife's the same way. Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you said it before, and I'm like, one of these days I'll be right. But I can understand where she's coming from, and I've these past few years, I've really throttled back a lot. There's been a lot of stuff that have gotten me excited that I'm just like, what, I'm just not going to shove it on them, because I know that they'll just be like, yeah, okay. My kids are the same way. I'm like, yeah, Dad, okay, Dad, but they're starting to see it now, though. Really, this is why I say both my wife and my kids are probably right now more open to the idea of the rapture happening like immediately than they ever have before, because they're seeing it. It's like, whereas, I think like 30 years ago, guys like you and me, we're like the canaries in the coal mine that, it's kind of like, yeah, you're sniffing something out that most people just aren't picking up on. But I think most people are nowadays, even the normies out there, they're starting to realize, hey, something's not right,
Yeah.
So anyway, but next week when I do this thing, Stephen, what I will do is, of course, you're still more than welcome to always show up on the Zoom and join us that way. But what I'll do is, when I send out the link for next week, I'll send it to you again, so that if you want to come on backstage like you're doing now, you're more than welcome.
I think I would like to do that. I need to get some different lighting or something. I'm just, but I'm just kind of getting my feet wet here a little bit, because like I shared with you, my little bit of my kind of waking up here, and it's only been a year. And so anyway, but I feel like I know all of you guys, Bob, Rick. I mean, it's like, and now I'm sitting here talking with you, and it's just so surreal. I'm like, whoa, I'm actually, whoa.
That's how it was the first time that I was on Uptime, which was going back almost 2 months ago now. I think it was like September 1st was when my first debut on Uptime was. And that's how it was there, because I've been listening to them for like over a year, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard you. And actually, the first night that I was on Uptime, I'll admit, I was almost a little bit starstruck, because they had Lee Brainerd on the first night that I was on Uptime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a big deal.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that felt that way. Even the first time I was on Uptime, I took a second shower that night. Make sure that hair is just right. And I come in here, I was like an hour early. I'm just sitting here looking at the TV.
I'm starting
things connected.
I'm finally starting to get used to it, but it's surreal, isn't it?
Okay.
Because, to see these people, but then to actually carry on a conversation.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm starstruck right now. Okay, so.
Well, we are. I guarantee, and I know I can speak for Gary too. We are nobodies. We are just, just brothers in the Lord. And like I said, I was glad to have you tonight. And and anytime, I'll just keep sending you the link. Like I said, if you want to stay backstage, you just let me know. That's fine with me. If you ever want to come on stage and talk a little bit, just tell me so.
Okay. Well, we'll one step at a time. But right now, I just wanted to just get my feet wet a little bit. It's been a while. I don't know if you looked, because I used to get on camera and do the whole Way of the Master thing, and of course it's been a few years after the whole Messianic thing. So anyway, it's just such a blessing to be on here. I mean, are you recording this right now?
No, this is all off stage. We ended the live stream. So this is off here. Yeah. Gary, by the way, the way that Stephen and I came to know each other was a couple days ago, about almost a week ago. He sent me a message, my YouTube message, and he said, I've got a channel, it's got about 1,000 followers. He says, but the hour's late, and he's like, I'd really like if we could hook up, like if I could stream your stuff onto my channel. He says, because I just want to get the ministry out there. And I thought, wow, that's really, really nice, really humble of him, really, you know, I mean, just same kind of heart like I have, just a heart for ministry. But then what was funny was, so I don't ever put my email out on YouTube, because I'm just afraid I'm going to get a bunch of junk. You know, I'm going to get either crackpots or I'm going to get spam, and it's my personal address. So I did send him my email, but I did X dispatcher, and then I put in parentheses the word at instead of the at symbol, because that sometimes helps cut down on like the computer bots that scan the web for email addresses if you kind of disrupt them a little bit. So that's how I did it. I did, you know, X dispatcher at Gmail, you know, .com, and so the next day, all of a sudden, I get a message, a text message on my phone saying, "This is Stephen, you know, from Mission for Christ," and I freaked out. I thought, does he work for Google or something? How did he get my cell phone number? Like, I gave my email address. I didn't give my cell phone number, and then I figured it out, and I texted him back, and he was like, I think he was as freaked as I was, because he sent me screenshots, and he was like, dude, I'm not trying to harass you. And he's like, I don't know how you got my number, you know? And I figured out what it was. It's because we both have iPhones and we use iMessage. And so, like, if you type in my email into your phone, like into a text message, like you're going to send a text message to my email, it goes to my phone instead of my Gmail. That's what happens. Because I tested it with my wife's phone. I'm like, oh, that's what happens.
I mean, you can call an email address. I've never heard of that one before.
Yeah, isn't that wild? So, like I said, so that's how Stephen and I kind of got hooked in earlier this week. But, you know, brother, it's been a blessing. I'm glad to have met you, and just, you know, glad you're a part of us now. You know,
all right.
Like I said, you come on anytime. You know, you come on anytime.
I'll be on Uptime Tuesday night.
Are you?
Invited me on. Yeah.
Good.
And, he was you know, Greg was meaning to do that like a month ago, when the book came out, and but they had to sort some things through. But anyway, I'm supposed to be on this week, so I think he's putting me on. Well, wait a minute. No, this week coming up will be good. I'm thinking he's putting me on election night, but no, that's the next week.
That's the next week.
Yeah, well, his wife had some stuff with the hospital or something recently. Yeah.
There's been a lot of stuff going on with him, and they had a week or two where there's hardly anybody on because of the situations going on.
Yeah.
Michael Pels has been doing a lot of outreach stuff, and we got to go to meet him. That was really weird too, to see these people actually face to face, you know. And I'm like, you know, it's weird to see you. He's like, why? I said, because you're just this big on my screen. You know?
Yeah.
But to see you in life-size form, it's like, whoa, he's handsome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, he invited me last Tuesday, and I couldn't make it because it was my birthday. And so, you know, I actually didn't say, because I don't ever make a big deal at all out of
Well, happy birthday.
You know, so, thank you.
Yes.
I don't ever make a big
How
deal
old?
or anything. I'm 54 now. I just turned 54. So I went out, you know, I was planning on, I spent the day, I did a little fishing, which I don't ever have time to do. So that was nice to treat myself to a little fishing time. And then I planned on going to dinner with my family. And my wife has been real patient through this whole YouTube thing. Like, you know, I used to sit and watch TV with her in the evenings. Now, you know, at least half the week I'm in here in front of the, you know, doing somebody's show on YouTube. And she's always said to me, she's like, if we have family plans, are you ever going to cancel? I'm like, of course I'll cancel. The family comes first. So, you know, like my birthday was my chance to prove it. I'm like, I'm not going to spend my birthday on YouTube. You know, we'll have some dinner. So she and the kids and I went out to have dinner, but it just so happened that night I got the invite to Uptime. And I told Greg, I said, I can't do it. I said, I have family plans due to a birthday in the family. So he writes back and he says, oh, whose birthday is it? I'm like, oh, you got me. Okay. I'm like, you got me. I'm like, yeah, you got me. It's me, you know, like I wasn't going to say anything, but it's me, you know. And so somebody in the comments was like, where's Derek tonight? And he's like, oh, I forgot it's his birthday, you know, so, which has been nice. I've gotten a lot of love out of the people. I've gotten all kinds of people wishing me a happy birthday, but I'm just, like I said, I really am a pretty, I don't know if shy is the right word, but I'm a very private kind of guy. You know, I don't have Facebook. I don't have, you know, I'm really like, I never even intended to go on Rumble a few years ago. That was just because I was doing the Zoom thing and there were a few people that couldn't make it. And I thought, all right, well, I'll post the videos on Rumble. Like, I never thought I'd be on YouTube, you know, just because I'm a very private guy like that, you know, but anyway. A lot of good people.
Thank God you finally did it that way. You know, you being on some of them shows is how I met you. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and you know, I enjoy being on the shows because most of the guys on those shows, most of us are all on the same page. Every once in a while, somebody comes on there and they'll say a little something that's just, you know, there's a lot of baby Christians in the chat, and you got to be careful. You know what I'm saying,
Steve,
you know?
Steve, I have the funnest thing to do is to text this guy while he's live and send him something funny like, oh, and I sent him a picture of the lion off the Wizard of Oz. It's like, aliens and asteroids and because they started going a little bit off the rails. And
oh my
he's
God,
replying back. And him
I'll text you back too, you know. I'll be like, I look down and
he's smirking and trying to hide a smile. I'm like, yep, I see what he's doing. And then he'll send me a message back. But to get them while they're live, it's like hilarious. I wasn't on that show. I was just watching, you know, like a regular person.
Rick had somebody on the other night on his show, and it was a young guy. You know, his name was Gage. Young guy. He said
I saw
he's
that.
only been a believer for about a year, which is great. You know, nothing wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't have new believers on your show. That's great. But he started talking about, he was trying to, you know, basically he was trying to take Kamala and push her into the Whore of Babylon mold and say, oh, she's got to be the Whore of Babylon. And, you know, it's like, I don't have a problem looking at that as a type, as like, okay, well, yeah, there's some similarities, but like I said, I can't buy that. And I said, the reason I can't buy that is because it's the Whore of Babylon, mother of harlots. So who's she the mother of? She didn't even have her own children. You know, there's a danger in trying to just take a scripture and cram it into, you know, what it. So that's why I like being on these shows, because I just, and I don't like if you watch that show, if you saw how
I saw it. I watched it. You were very. You're like, it's my opinion, you know, and
yeah,
you,
I mean,
yes.
That's what I'm saying. I try to do everything in love. I don't ever want to rebuke somebody and be like, dude, you know, I've been studying the Bible over 30 years. You just came onto it a year ago. What are you talking about? You know, I don't want to do that to anybody, because I don't want to discourage anybody. But you do also have to contend for the faith. You have to make sure people aren't being led astray by crazy stuff, because there's a lot of new Christians out there, you know, that have good doctrine. So
I had a minister friend tell me, you know, when I started getting on these things, and he's like, just be watchful, not telling you, you know, anybody's off their rocker or not. But he says, I had a guy that started in his church, and he's like, called him up one day, and every little thing that happens, you know, he gets scared about, and he says, Pastor, I was on my way to work today, and I realized I hit a dove. And he's like, I'm sitting here looking at it, stuck in the grill of my car. What's this mean? He's like, I hit a dove on the way to work.
yeah, that's what it means, exactly.
And, yeah, you know, and you know, we get kind of caught into it, which I know, you know, God speaks through things sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, different things, but just because it's a certain time when I wake up and I look at the clock,
you got to be
maybe
careful.
I need
That's
to read.
right.
Maybe I need to read 8:22 in one of the books somewhere in the chapter or whatever. God direct me. Maybe there is, but not all the time. And
That's right.
Sometimes that gets really flaky sounded. And,
Yes, it
you know,
does.
you don't
Yes,
want to
it does.
offend nobody, but me and my wife are like, you know, like that. And I've kind of for the past 30 days, I've been on very little.
I know. Yeah, I was gonna say you've taken a break.
But God had opened the door on the book stuff and publishing books for other preachers and stuff.
That's
and
great.
God just opened up a door, but
I've
taking it kind of slow.
I just want to share something that, you know, because I talked with Derek, and January 6th was a really big deal for me last year. And then, you know, and I started really, and all of a sudden it was like I was woke up for a reason, and then started getting heavier and heavier, and CJ Lovick's 2023 video. And then, but I've been watching everybody, you know, and you know, as far as Bob and Repo Man, and I mean, I've watched the whole community get tighter and tighter. You know, I've been doing this for really just, you know, a year and a half, and I just wanted to share that I'm like, me and my buddy Jimmy, we're all over you guys all the time. He and I spend 6 hours a week on the phone just talking, because nobody else will listen to us, you know. And but I have seen camaraderie, the fellowship just get tighter and tighter, you know. And me and Jimmy always said, man, are we crazy? Are we the ones crazy? Because you go outside the Walmart, I mean, everything's fine, you know. And it's like, you know, somebody needs to call the paddy wagon. I asked my wife, I said, look, do we need an intervention here on me or something? Because this looks like it's it. I don't know when, but well, you know, like when Bob said, you know, the fuse is lit from October 7th.
Yes.
And it has not let up. But I just wanted to compliment the whole community there because from a outside perspective, I've seen it grow and come together. And, anyway.
Well, what I think's awesome is like we'll watch various people, and it's like one person will be talking about something, you're like, oh, okay, you know, that's good. And then you'll hear somebody else, and then you'll hear somebody else, and then another, and another, and it's like God. There, you could tell when your pastor, or even sometimes with even a minister on TV or something.
Yeah.
It's like God had a certain word to go out today.
Yeah.
And some of it's pre-recorded months ago.
You see the wave.
Some of it's, yeah, and it may be you pick up a cassette tape, put it in, and play it on a certain day, and that word and everything else you're hearing, it's like everybody's talking out of the same vein of God.
Yes.
They're connected to the Bible.
Wow.
And that's confirmation. You know,
Absolutely.
God works like that. He confirms things. And but every so often, sometimes, you know, things will get all kind of off the rails, and it's like you need somebody like Derek to kind of bring it back to the people. The fact that if people are on here needing prayer requests, they don't know how the bills are getting paid this week. We got to pray for some people, do some ministry and stuff. And, and that's kind of where I was. I was just like, wow, it takes a lot to do this, and then to be. You got to be on it. You know, it's funny to watch these TV people like on Fox News. They got their little snippet to say.
Yep.
They got their little sound bite, and they go on to the next 100 of them that they're going to show one right after the other. We're not a sound bite. We got to carry a conversation with 4 or 5 people.
I know. Wow.
That's a lot. I could write a book on the notes.
Ad lib.
Did you see the? I'm trying to remember when it was. It might have been the Sunday. I think it was the Sunday night with Black Swan. Did y'all see that? Did you see the opening of that? Where he dropped off and for like 10 minutes I had to ad lib.
Yeah, I did. I did watch that one.
I was like, I wasn't ready for that. I'm like, the Holy Spirit took pity on me.
Oh, you did a good job though. You did a fantastic job.
He did that to me early on. He's like, hey, Gary, you need to take care of this while you started. I'll start it, but I won't be on. I'm going to have to give a shot to my diabetic dog or this. He's not with us right now. You know,
oh my!
Like ad lib this whole thing, but anyway, it's hilarious.
I tell you, live YouTube.
Man, this is just such a blessing, man. I just can't. I mean, because I just feel like because I've watched everybody for over a year, and it's just like I know
now,
you.
Where
guys.
are you at, Stephen? What state are you in?
Texas, Port Lavaca, Texas.
Oh, okay, Texas.
Yes,
Texas.
Absolutely. We just barely missed that burl. It took that turn and went up on my buddy in Houston, Jimmy, and took his power out for I don't know 3 or 4 days. But I mean, man, how fast is everything forgotten? Helene. Forgotten the bridge. What was that bridge that went down? Francis Scott Key. Shane did a deal on that, and we could just go right down the Maui. You can't even. It's coming so fast that it's indescribable. You know, people on my friends on Facebook think I'm cuckoo, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I think people are even forgetting about, and I know even Rick mentioned it the other night, and I'm like, yes, mention that because it is unusual. They have this horrible hurricane come through, Florida, pretty much hits the whole state.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it might not hit on where, like in the Panhandle or the tip, but you're going to feel something.
They got Maui.
Your lawn chair is going to be in the next county, But, what was crazy is all the tornadoes Florida had all these tornadoes, like one right after the other. You talk about some annihilation.
They had them on the mountains, and JD Farag was saying, a tornado on the mountains is like having a blizzard in Hawaii.
Very unusual. Yeah, very unusual.
Give it time, right? Give it time.
I can remember years ago, I used to live out in the mountains of East Tennessee. Now I'm in Middle Tennessee, but I used to live out there right upside the Smoky Mountains. I mean, I could see them from my backyard. I was that close. And I can remember a couple of hurricanes would come up through the country, and as soon as they got near us, them mountains would just, dissipate them. I mean, they just kind of like beat that hurricane to a pulp, and it'd just be a tropical storm, and it would kind of blow away, and that would be it. I've never seen anything like Helene.
No.
I mean, that was just amazing.
There were those trails up there. There was unnatural clouds. I mean, I've seen all the stuff, man. And no, this is it. With the calendar guy, with C.J. Lubbock, and to look at that, and then and then. But after Feast of Trumpets last year, and then this year, and I got wise after Day of Atonement last year, and I'm like, these are signs, and they're pointing, and in February, my wife said, oh, so now you think the rapture's on April 8th? I said, oh, no. She thought of that because that's how I push, and I said, no, this is all pointing somewhere. I'm not sure where, and just watch the thermometer on the wall. That's all I can say.
I think we're getting close. I wish I knew for sure, but I really do think, I'd love to say for sure we're not going to see 2025. I can't say it for sure, but that's really how I feel. I feel inside like I don't think we're going to see
it looks like it's impossible because of Israel going to be 80 at a certain day. There's bookends there that but after being, getting thicker skin like Bob says, and it's like, but it's like it's getting down to this hard press, and with God, all things are possible. If he wanted to put it off another 5 years, it would just be done. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But that's all. I got my diver's watch on, I got the Hebrew calendar on the outside, the Gregorian on the inside. I said the calendars ain't right. God hates their feast days. I could go on and on. And but anyway, you guys are awesome. Yeah,
well, we appreciate you too, Steve. I just saw your text. I was reading your text while you were talking, so I appreciate it. I'm going to watch that thing that you sent me in a little bit here, but I appreciate you coming on tonight.
Yeah.
Like I said, you've got a real good heart. Like I feel like we're kindred spirits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I appreciate you coming on. I've enjoyed talking with you, and hope you'll come back. Hope we can do
I will.
more of this.
I'll be back next week if we're still here. Yep.
Good Lord willing. Yeah. Good Lord willing. Well,
the creek don't rise.
I'm just looking at it like that, to me, like, I hope the rapture comes. I mean, I've been looking for it for years, and I know I'll rejoice the day it comes, but every day that I'm here, that, I still have a chance to minister, I just rejoice that God has given me an opportunity to minister. And it's like, I was saying to my wife the other day, I just hit 1,000 on my channel, which is great. It's not a big deal. It's just a number, but it is nice. I just hit that 1,000, but when I consider all of the different shows that I've been on, when I look at Uptime, when I look at Gary's show and Shane's show and Rick's show, and I was on the other day with Amy Moosefelt, and all the various views, all the eyeballs that have been, it's been thousands and thousands and thousands of views on all these different shows. And I say to myself, I said to my wife the other day, I said, I've been in one way or the other for better part of 25 years, a little longer than that, I guess. I've been born again over 30, so, I know it was right around when I got married to my wife, which is 30 years, that I started kind of getting into ministry. And I do believe that I have reached more people in this past 2 months than I have over the past 30 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's just God, and I think it's funny because I've been saying since the beginning, well, that must be a sign of the times too. If the Lord's dredging up the bottom of the barrel and using me,
no.
he's really running low on preachers if he's having to find me.
I know, and even though I have over 1,000 subscribers, that's been around for a long time, and so I'm like, if there's one in there, just one.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful the Lord's using me, and even, like I said, even if it's just to help a handful of people. I had 2 people that I know of on my channel, and I'm not saying that I directly had anything to do with their salvation, but I do this little prayer show on Fridays. I pray for people's prayer requests and then give a preview of my Bible study. And, people say, pray for my unsaved husband, my unsaved family. 2 people have gotten saved that I've been praying for.
That's
and that just
beautiful.
brings so much joy to my heart that it's like, the woman writes in, she says, guess what? My husband just got saved. And then a couple weeks later, one of my daughters just got saved, and I rejoice. I'm like, Lord, thank you for letting me be a part of that. Not, again, not that it was because of me, not in any way, but I
Those
feel
are
privileged.
those are God winks. One plants, another one waters, and the Holy Spirit gets the increase.
Well, that's what I say. I'm just glad to be a part of it. It just brings joy to my heart to know, somebody I prayed for is now going to be with us in the kingdom. That blesses me.
Oh, I know.
So,
I know.
But it's all God. It's just Him using all of us in these last days. And you're right, Stephen. I think that this whole community, is just. I mean, like Gary, I'm getting to meet him in person next week, but it's like I already feel like he's my brother. I feel like you're my brother.
Amen.
All these guys on Uptime, it's just we've all gotten really tight over these past couple weeks, and it's a blessing. It's a real blessing.
It's not just something in your head. I'm just somebody you just met, and I see it, and I can affirm that. Yes.
Amen. Well, like I said, praise God for bringing us all together, and. Like I said, if we're still here, I'll see y'all next week.
You betcha.
All right. Well, good night, guys, and God bless y'all.
Hey, nice to meet you, Gary, and God bless y'all. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.